The tornado sirens wailed through our quiet suburban neighborhood, a piercing scream that cut through the evening air like a warning from the heavens. I sprinted toward my backyard storm shelter, gripping my daughter's emergency asthma kit, my heart racing faster than the wind tearing at the picket fence. The sky was a bruised purple, heavy with the promise of destruction. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared me for what I found when I threw open the reinforced steel hatch of my shelter. There, sitting smugly on my emergency cot, was Linda, our HOA president, munching on a half-eaten protein bar and scrolling through her phone like she was lounging at a country club. "Oh, good. You're here," she said, her voice dripping with entitlement. Before I could respond, red lights pulsed across the shelter's walls, and a silent panic alarm sent an alert straight to the sheriff's office. Linda had no idea she'd just tripped the most advanced security system in our county, and I couldn't help but savor the moment her smugness would unravel. Linda had been a thorn in my side since I built this shelter. She'd called it an eyesore, a violation of HOA aesthetic rules, and even claimed it threatened the neighborhood's emotional harmony. Never mind that I'd secured a zoning waiver because part of my yard sat on unincorporated land, outside HOA control. Linda had waged a personal vendetta patrolling my property, sending snarky emails, and once reporting my ventilation hatch for being too gray. Now, here she was, breaking into the very shelter she'd fought to ban, acting like she owned the place during a tornado warning. I stood frozen, staring as the shelter's emergency system hummed to life. Linda glanced up, noticing the red glow. "What's that?" she asked, her tone more annoyed than alarmed. I gave her a slow, satisfying smile. "That's the lockdown protocol," I said. "You just triggered the intrusion alarm. The sheriff's been notified, and the cameras are rolling." Her face paled as she stammered. "Intrusion? I'm the HOA president. This is a community resource in an emergency." I pointed to the ceiling's black dome camera. "You voted to condemn this shelter, Linda. And you picked the lock with a crowbar. It's all on tape." She jumped up, pacing the concrete floor like a caged animal, clutching her protein bar wrapper. "This is expired," she snapped, as if that were my biggest crime. "It's vacuum sealed and 5 days past date," I replied. "You'll survive unless you're planning to sue me for granola-related trauma." A low rumble from above silenced us both. The storm was closing in. My wife, Sarah, and daughter, Emily, were taking the long route to avoid debris, leaving me stuck with Linda for at least another half hour. The shelter was built for a small family, but Linda's nervous energy made it feel like a shoebox. She critiqued everything: the insulation, the medical kit placement, even the lack of calming lavender wipes. I bit my tongue, explaining the red lighting preserved power and night vision. "This isn't a spa, Linda. It's a survival bunker." She scoffed, muttering about how she'd have designed it better. The wind howled, rattling the hatch, and Linda's bravado cracked. "Is there enough oxygen? What about carbon filters?" she demanded. I flipped on the external monitor, showing the solar-powered ventilation system. "We're fine. Those canned beans you mocked could feed us for a month." When the storm passed, silence settled like a heavy fog. I opened the hatch, letting in humid air. "Sheriff's probably here," I said. Linda grabbed my arm. "You're not pressing charges, are you?" I shrugged. The system did that for me. Outside, our street looked like a battlefield: snapped trees, scattered lawn chairs, and a patrol car idling by my mailbox. Deputy Carla, from the Community Preparedness Committee, eyed Linda crawling out behind me. "Got a report of forced entry," she said, holding up a tablet with footage of Linda prying open the hatch with a crowbar. Linda sputtered. "That's edited." Carla didn't blink. "It's tamper-proof. You're lucky you didn't trigger the ink dye fail-safe." Linda stumbled home, her phone clutched like a lifeline. My wife and Emily arrived, and Emily giggled. "Is she in trouble?" I grinned. "Sweetie, she broke into our shelter and set off a panic alarm. She's meeting karma head-on." A week later, Linda doubled down. I received an HOA letter accusing me of denying community access to emergency resources, threatening $200 daily fines unless I made the shelter public. My cousin, Mark, a lawyer, laughed when I showed him. "This is retaliation," he said, drafting a countersuit. The HOA had no claim over my private property, especially on land outside their jurisdiction. Mark also filed a cease and desist against Linda, copying the board. City officials visited after hearing about the breach. They toured the shelter, impressed by its biometric locks, solar ventilation, and DIY oxygen system. This could have disaster injuries if replicated, one said. The city offered a grant to model it elsewhere. Linda, catching wind, proposed her own HOA-funded storm wellness pod with aromatherapy and pastel lights. At the HOA meeting, her plan was laughed off. Will it survive 150 miles per hour winds or just bad vibes? A neighbor quipped. Her proposal was unanimously rejected. Linda's desperation grew. She forged a work order in my name for a shelter upgrade and sent fake complaints to city departments claiming I housed livestock, built an illegal dwelling, and distributed expired food. Each was debunked, and surveillance caught her buying a burner phone for the complaints. Mark filed for a restraining order, and a recall petition against Linda gained traction. At an emergency HOA meeting, she tried defending herself, blaming miscommunication and mob thinking. I stood, calmly recounting her trespassing, forgery, and harassment. We deserve leadership, not sabotage, I said. The room applauded, and 92% voted to remove her. She stormed out, leaving her chair empty. The neighborhood transformed. Block parties returned, kids drew chalk art without fear of fines, and a new safety committee formed. I led workshops on disaster prep, and the city expanded the shelter pilot program. Linda sold her house and vanished. Rumors said she joined a support group for ousted HOA leaders. I added a biometric access system to the shelter, ensuring only trained families could enter. At a FEMA conference, I shared our story, emphasizing trust over politics. Back home, neighbors threw a party, complete with a shelter-shaped cake. Emily sent me heart emojis, calling me a local legend. One night, the shelter's new alarm caught a hooded figure with a key card and rhinestone sneakers. It was Linda, still lurking. I reported it, but she held no power anymore. The neighborhood was free, united, and stronger than ever. I bolted a plaque to the shelter, built to protect, strengthened by unity, powered by people, not politics. What do you think about Linda's actions and the community's response? Have you faced similar abuses of power or seen a community rally against injustice? Share your thoughts in the comments. Would love to hear your perspective on navigating conflict and standing up for what's right.